call the meeting of the Town Council to order. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please. How's life down there?
Mayor Paul,
Here.
Vice Mayor Lewis,
Here.
Councilmember Whitman.
Here.
Councilmember Hatton. Councilmember Starkey.
Here.
Mr. Lemach.
Here.
Mr. Lewis. Mr. Holste. Mr. Weinthal. Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. May I have a motion to excuse Councilmember Hatton?
Motion to excuse Councilmember Hatton.
There's a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. I'd also like to take a few moments of silence to remember Howard Foreman, who passed away this past week. He had been clerk of the courts for many, many years. He was a Davie resident and a good friend, and we're going to miss him. Thank you. Okay, on approval of the consent agenda, staff is requesting that items 19 and 20 under engineering be tabled to November 1st. That's a right-of-way easement and a construction easement. May I have a motion?
Motion to table 19 and 20 to November 1st.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, I do that. On the consent agenda, I'm going to pull 1, 10, and 17. Councilmember Whitman, do you have anything to pull?
No, not at this time.
Okay, thank you.
I'm good, man.
You're good? Councilmember Starkey?
I'm good too.
Okay, thank you. Okay, may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 1, 10, and 17? Don't all rush at once.
Motion approved. Consent agenda minus 1, 10, and 17.
I'll second that. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. I had a silent eye there. Okay, number 1 on the agenda is a proclamation for Red Ribbon Week. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
And I'll second that. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. Accepting this tonight will be Melissa Sauer, the 1st Florida Regiment Adjutant. Mr. Lewis, you're going to read it, right?
Thank you, Mayor. Excuse me. Whereas communities across America have been plagued by the numerous problems associated with illicit drug use and those that traffic in them, and whereas there's hope in winning the war on drugs, and the hope lies in education and drug demand reduction, coupled with hard work and determination of organizations such as the Young Marines of the Marine Corps League to foster a healthy, drug-free lifestyle. And whereas the governments and community leaders know that citizen support is one of the most effective tools in the effort to reduce the use of illicit drugs in our communities, and whereas the red ribbon has been chosen as a symbol commemorating the work of Enrique Kiki Camarena, a Drug Enforcement Administration agent who was murdered in the line of duty, and represents the belief that one person can make a difference. And whereas the Red Ribbon Campaign was established by Congress in 1988 to encourage a drug-free lifestyle and involvement in drug prevention and reduction efforts. And whereas October 23rd, 31st, 2023 has been designated National Red Ribbon Week, which encourages Americans to wear a red ribbon to show their support for a drug-free environment. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the mayor and the town council of the town of Davie do hereby proclaim October 23rd through the 31st, 2023 as Red Ribbon Week.
We have a young gentleman here. Would you like to say a few words? Or are you just going to accept?
I will accept.
Okay. What is your name?
Dominic Mithabayani.
Okay. Obviously, it wasn't Melissa Sauer, so.
Very
Well,
nice.
he's a Marine cadet, right? All right, I pulled number 10. May I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. I wanted to pull this because it's very, very important to let our residents know that this is a resolution declaring its support for the state of Israel and denouncing the war in that state. What we have asked in this resolution for the President of the United States, members of Congress, state legislators, and local leaders to put aside their differences and unite to denounce and condemn all terrorist acts around the world. The Davie Town Council is proud of its partnership with the David Posnack Jewish Community Center, the Chabad organizations in Davie, and the Jewish Federation, and we will continue to support our Jewish brothers and sisters. The town of Davie recognizes and empathizes with the Jewish and Israeli populations residing within the town who may have family members, loved ones, and friends who are severely impacted by the attacks. Through these harrowing and sensitive times, the town of Davie will provide additional public safety resources to the synagogues and schools located within the town, as there is a renewed commitment to have and maintain peace in the community. Also we mentioned in the resolution that just 2 days after the attack, the town of Davie, under my signature, transmitted a letter of support for the state of Israel, now that we're taking it one step further and doing it as a resolution. And we're asking the town clerk to transmit this resolution and the statement of solidarity to the president and the state and federal legislators. And I've asked Rabbi Jacobs and Pastor Ellis to come here today to give a few words of hope and peace. Would you like to come to the microphone?
Can you also copy the Jewish Federation?
Yes.
Yeah. Because we've been getting emails from them.
Yeah, well, they're mentioned in here, so, okay, I'm sorry.
On behalf of the Jewish community, on behalf of the state of Israel, on behalf of our families and our friends that are still suffering and will continue to suffer for some time, on behalf of the hostages that are still being held by the terrorist organization of Hamas, I cannot thank you enough for this resolution. Silence is deadly, and there's been a lot of silence lately. And by you taking the stand, by you recognizing the effects of terror and the loss of over 1,300 people, I can't even put into words what this means. In Hebrew, we say, Oseh shalom b'mormav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yalko Yisrael v'yimru amen, which means, please spread a shelter of peace over all of your people, all over the world, of course, both at home, but also abroad. May we see peace, may we see continued healing, may we see friendship and support. And today you have shown that you are an active partner in that. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi Jacobs, and I want to extend a great amount of appreciation and respect to the town of Davie, town council, and the mayor for a vision towards peace, tranquility, hope. It's not easily attained. It takes people with large vision and great hearts to accomplish it. Chaos will always come, but we will also have responses full of hope, peace, and hate will not define our tomorrows. It doesn't have the chance to stand when love continues to show up. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Madam Clerk, would you, because we've already passed it, would you just put that notation on to also send a copy to the Federation? Okay, thank you. I know we sent the original letter, I think went to them, so, and I have been, every time a resident sends me an email asking for us to support Israel, I send them a copy of that letter. So we've done that. So, you know, and it's difficult times for a lot of people, and we've known this for centuries, and it doesn't seem to change. War doesn't solve, violence doesn't solve any problems. It just leads to more violence. So, you know, it's important. I was happy to see President Biden in Israel today. I think that was a strong statement. Thank you for coming tonight, and thank you, Council, for passing that. Appreciate it. Okay, number 17. This is a site plan. I think we were in a discussion on this at the September 6th meeting, and the applicant wasn't able to be here, so is that you? You're here now, okay. Do we need to go through because we went through the presentation, does everybody remember? Do you want to, just somebody to
I think we should.
renew it? Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Mr. Quigley, would you just give us a
Sure,
idea of what's going on here?
sure. David Quigley, Planning and Zoning Manager. So this proposed application occurs on a property that's approximately 1 acre in size. It's in the Regional Activity Center, but has a residential office zoning. It was originally a home. It was converted to an office use by Site Plan 5-9-04 back in 2004. It had, other than a home, it just added a small parking lot to the front. Otherwise, it probably continued to look like a home. Residential office district allows contractor office only. Allen Construction obtained a business tax receipt in 2018 as contractor office only. Sometime later, there was appeared construction equipment, fencing, a metal building in the rear yard that led to a code compliance case. That case is still open, and the applicant is proposing this site plan approval in hopes of alleviating that code compliance case. So the proposed use remains contractor office only. The real purpose of the site plan is, again, for adding parking area to the rear, some fencing and landscaping and other kinds of some items, but no changes to the building itself.
Now, am I correct in the building was put up without a permit?
Correct.
And that's the code case,
It's,
amongst other things, yes?
yes, correct, yes.
Okay,
That's the main one.
thank you. Would the applicant like to make a statement?
Yes. Good evening. So if I don't know how to behave on the proceedings, please correct me. My first time out here. Good evening. So I'm Ruben Allen. I'm with Allen Construction. We own the building under AB First, and we moved there 5 years ago. So what triggered actually the code violation, it was that at the time, we had some containers in there, and we were putting the fence, and it had a barbed wire, and it got noticed, and that's how I believe that's how the notice came to us. Since the moment that notice was provided to us, we alleviated the situation, and we corrected the situation right away, and it has been now, in November, it's gonna be 3 years since we've been code-free. From that, we haven't had anyone from the town being out there for any of the violations for the property. Since then, I did a little speech in here, so we come by here today to respectfully request that you grant us approval for completing this project. During those 3 years, we hired a local architect. It's Franco Stoya Jr., who's a local architect who helped us design the site plan in order to comply with all the local codes. We have worked continuously with the town and the planning and zoning department to comply with everything that they require. And from my conversations back probably a couple of years ago, when I spoke to them, I told them from the beginning that we were going to do anything that the town required it, that we were going to comply with. The approval will allow us to be in compliance, which it should be the ultimate goal for you guys and for us. We haven't had any code violations since then. And honestly, if you drive by there, it's at 5337 Orange Drive. It's a very nice property. I'll encourage you guys to drive by there. We keep it pristine, and it has been like that since 3 years ago. It just looks beautiful. And if it is not one of the nicest ones in that block. We want to move forward from this, and again, we kindly request that you guys grant us approval to complete the process and be in compliance with the town. We love the town. We like going to the rodeos, and we like it out here. We don't like to be in trouble with the law. We're a contractor, and we mostly do government work. The work that I do is mostly at if you've been at either Broward County or Palm Beach County or even Miami-Dade County, I do most of the work at airports and government entities. So the shed is going to be used for the storage of paperwork. You guys are in government. You know how many piles of paperwork we gather around. So my process goes from my production of paperwork, of contract change orders, RFIs, submittals, to get it in plastic cases, and from there I have to drive them in or walk them into this storage shed, and that's what I use it for. Most of the equipment, and all of the equipment actually, is kept on site. We have a job site right now on Riverwalk. It's a parking garage for the city of Fort Lauderdale, and that's where we have all our equipment. The same thing in Palm Beach County. And in addition, right after that, we purchased a lot in Fort Pierce, and that's an industrial lot that we have an acre that we're going to store any surplus equipment and or materials or tools that we are required to conduct our business. So again, hopefully that should clear the air on that. If you guys have any questions for me, I'll gladly respond.
What's the square footage of the building?
The new one is 1,000 square feet.
That's a lot of paperwork.
A lot of paperwork. And I have in there a lawnmower and a few of my tools that I, as contractors, we like to keep around.
Okay. And Mr. Quigley, this is in fact an after-the-fact request, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That is right. And then, if I can bring you back, and I know that we're not there now, but if I can bring you back to the days of COVID, I remember being in my office and sitting with my staff, and we didn't know what to do. I don't know how it went in the town, but I'm telling you that in my little world, we sat down in that conference room, and we were all freaking out, saying, what are we going to do now? And the government and all the authorities were encouraging us to continue working. And maybe because of that, I went out there and I did that. And my apologies if I got into the nerves of anyone, but that is what happened. You can check the dates in there with the COVID and all that. Please.
Does anybody have a question?
Okay, these jobs that you say that with the airport and everything, you have to bid on those?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when you bid on them, there's paperwork that follows of what piece of equipment that you're going to use on these jobs, correct?
That is, in some cases, they ask you for that information.
Okay, so your attorney sent us letters stating that common tools that are handheld, what does that consist of?
Handhelds are usually drills, circular saws, and then hand tools, any trowels or anything like that. But I don't even keep much of that out there. That is kept, if you think of me being at a job site, I'm not gonna keep those tools at my office in order to have guys working on the site. I keep all that on sites, usually in containers. I got some photos in here if you wanna see of the one I have in Riverwalk. But that's what it is.
Okay, so is this building also going to be an office or a living space for a security guard?
No, because it's not air conditioned. It just has the shed, it's just a structural steel. I think it's 18 gauge, 16 gauge, whatever the code requires, with metal siding. It doesn't have no air conditioning, just some exhaust fans.
Is there a bathroom?
No bathroom. It just has power, electricity, and it has 2 hose bibs on the outside of the building.
Okay. That's all the questions I've got.
Thank you.
I feel at this point, and going by there and looking at the place, that it does look clean. Your place does.
Thank you, sir.
It does look good. And I think this has probably cost them considerably a lot more money.
Yes, it did.
Than originally than they had thought.
I've been paying for it.
I think at this point, if you were doing it over again, it would be done a little bit different. I think this has been a costly experience for you.
Learning experience.
And you've been here now in Davie, what, 5 years?
Yes, sir. We've been at the
Okay,
property for 5 years.
You've been here 5 years. You've got the place looking good. We want to encourage the businesses here. I think that you've paid a substantial amount of money and all. So at this point, I would agree to just move forward. Let them have the nice site plan, and let's move on from here, because I don't think this will happen again. I can probably assure you that this won't happen again.
Thank you, sir, for your support.
Do you want to speak?
No, I'm good.
If I could say one other thing, what he's saying about going from job site that you don't bring the stuff there, I've been doing that for the last 3 years. When I was in Hollywood, I had 2,400 square feet, and quite a bit of that we would, bring different big equipment in, and I rented a place from All Camps, and we had a gas station in Hollywood where we would store different equipment as we needed it. But the way things have gone in my business, I have an office here in Hollywood, but 98% of my equipment goes from, when it moves from one job, it goes to the other job. It never makes it back to our office. So what he's saying about paperwork, we have a joke in our office that when the paper weighs as much as the building, that's, we're about that point, we're finished, with the building. And that's kind of a joke, but that's kind of how it really does work in our business.
And then we have a property also in Orange Avenue in Fort Pierce that we purchased, industrial zoning just for that, and we're planning to move our operations in terms of equipment and tools to that area as well.
Mayor,
Yeah.
I will say something.
Okay.
The reason I'm okay with it is because you did comply with, your code issues over the years at working with our staff and trying to come up with a solution to actually resolving the problems to begin with. So, to that extent, as much as I hate after the fact permits, as much as I don't like a lot of things like that, you have to go back and forth with, it seems like you really understand that this is important for your business to succeed in Davie as well, and you cleaned it up. So with that, I would also support it.
My concern, and I mentioned this the last time, as soon as you have some of your workers coming in to pick up some of those tools, that's an improper use of the property. And I don't want this to end up being another code case, it was said, well, you go approve it, and if they do something wrong, it'll be a code case. Well, we don't have, necessarily the time or the personnel to go and keep an eye on everything. We depend sometimes to the neighbors to let us know what's going on. But, I am not a fan of after the fact. I'm concerned about future use of the building. And I just have a hard time.
If I may, Judy, so we don't go back to my office to pick up tools. The tools are kept on the site. The tools are kept on the site. And for now, we have been doing this now for you guys, or the town has been watching us for 3 years. We're not gonna do it. I'm not gonna get into trouble again with you guys. And that's not how our operations work out there. It's just a matter of trusting us, or if you want any kind of document, I'll sign whatever you want me to sign. But I would like to, again, kindly request that we move forward, and I'm gonna make you that building. I went through landscaping review. Have you gone through that? It's gonna look like the Miami Zoo out there. I went through it today. It's gonna be beautiful, but I just need to get it done, so I can move on, please.
Mayor, can I say something else?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just have a hard time understanding that the type of work that you're in, you have a bunch of paperwork when you go to a job, and you have to make sure everything is in order. And I'm just wondering, if we let this go by, what's the next thing you're going to put out there without telling us? We have to find it by code? I mean, I'm looking at something in, whether it was before COVID or after COVID, that when you do a job, you have to have all your paperwork in order. And that's the same way with anything that you build in Davie. You have to have your paperwork all in order. So I'm just curious of how that slipped through the cracks with you.
I think being in construction and knowing what the laws are, you should have been the first one to know that you needed to get a permit for the building.
So, yeah, so I might
You know,
explain
so-
myself on that one.
I know you did, but
So we're on a job site, and suddenly they tell you that the COVID hits, and they're gonna close all the job sites. And I got 20 guys out there that didn't have nothing to do. And I said, well, let's do something. And I got some extra cash, and I can put the guys to work while the other jobs start. And if you go through other parts of the country, which I had the pleasure to go through it, maybe they're not as strict as the town of Davie. Maybe I have that experience with me, that you can do some construction, and they're not that hard or that strict, and maybe that had to do with it. It doesn't means that I'm supposed to do it. It doesn't mean that it's right. But if I try to explain my thoughts to you, maybe those are the thoughts that I had in my head when I went and I moved forward with this. I got experiences with other towns and other places that we had the properties that we have built, and they don't go that hard for something like that. But again, we did it right. I cannot tell you. You will have to look in my head and see if I'm going to be truthful to you or not. And that's the only thing I can do, is I just come in here and try to plead with you guys to get it through.
yeah, it's classy.
Mayor, if I can.
Is this considered a public hearing?
It's not, because it was on consent, but you can
Okay.
open it to the public if you want.
That's all right. What?
Well, I think at this point, this has cost him a lot of money. He's paid for the city.
You're in construction, so you
I am, and I can understand when you're in between jobs, or things slow down, or you're at COVID and you're trying to keep guys working, and you say, start this, do this, and next thing you know, you don't have a permit. You think, nobody else worries about it. I understand it, but he's admitted he did it wrong. He's fixed the property. It looks good. I think at this point, we need this, now, I will say this, you come back a year from now with code, I'm not gonna be as friendly. You understand what I'm saying, okay?
Understood,
And
understood.
that's,
This is I think my third appearance in front of a commission.
okay, but you understand what I'm saying? You,
And it has nothing to do with the code, with the other ones.
I think at this point, you're a businessman in the town of Davie. I don't want to discourage your business. You made a mistake. This has cost you a lot of money. I think we need to move on. I think the place looks good
And it's gonna look
call it
nicer
a
too.
day. Now, if he comes back next year and the things he isn't doing
That's
what
not
he's
gonna
saying,
come back to us, though.
then it'll be a whole nother issue. But we
Yuri?
have to move on, Mayor. We can't discourage a businessman.
And
from being in
I'll go
business.
back and look at some of the things where I kind of really strongly asked you to support something that was, to the betterment of the town. And,
Well, when you say the
you-
betterment of town, we may be disagreeing on what the betterment of town is, though.
Yeah, well, then we
We have our
disagree.
disagreements.
That's true. Okay, at this particular point, I'm going to ask for a motion.
Can I make a motion to table it?
Well, I think from hearing what was going on, it might have been a 2-2 vote, and it would have been automatically tabled anyway. But if you want to table it, we can do that.
Can I ask why?
Well,
I would like to have some more discussion with the staff.
and I was thinking that he said something about put something in writing. Could we work up some sort of a document that would be attached to the site plan?
We could figure something out, but if he violates the site plan,
But that's what I'm trying to avoid, is, because we've done this before.
But how do you?
And then it's turned out that once they get their occupancy and, they start easing in a little bit at a time, and as I said, it'll end up coming back as a code issue. So if you
So I've been,
wants to sign, create a document, I don't know exactly what you'd put into it, but make them.
When you go to code, you end up before the special magistrate, and it has teeth.
Have you ever looked at where some of our code cases are now, after 3 and 4 years? You should look at them.
I have, and I think that code does a good job, and I think that if things go long, it's sometimes because there's two sides to a story.
Okay, well,
But-
we have a motion on the floor, Susan?
Still under discussion if we can. I still think that, we do have a process in place, and the process obviously took a little longer than we would have liked it once we were aware of it. But he did remedy the situation, and it is for the paperwork, and it is for tools, from what I understand, that will be used specifically for him on site, meaning his lawnmower, a shovel or two, and things like that, that would be on site for things like. And if it doesn't comply with our code and there is violations, then there's a process for that. But I understand that, Michelle, if you feel that this is something that in your district that you want to table and work this out and get some kind of staff agreement with, I will support you on that.
That's what I'd like to do. If we could table it to November 1st.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous.
what does that mean?
That means that November 1st, we'll be back to discuss it. You try to work with staff on trying to come up with a document that could be a little bit more binding than just taking you back immediately to code enforcement. And, maybe it's an inspection or two here and there. I don't know what,
You may want to invite her to your.
yeah,
Okay,
I'll come out.
your
okay.
district person may have something in mind.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
With all respect, we'd like to see if there can be a meeting of the minds.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes care of the consent agenda. Am I on target here?
Yes, Mayor, you're
Okay.
correct.
Let's see. I will go to,
18.
where are we?
21.
19 and 20, no, 18 was on consent.
Okay.
So
We're on
19
21,
and
public
20
hearing.
We're tabled, so we're up to 21, okay. Is a public hearing. This is first reading of an ordinance. Mr. Weinthal, would you read the title, please?
Yes, Mayor. Code Amendment, an ordinance of the Town of Davie, Florida, amending Chapter 2, Article 4, Section 58, titled Required Information to be Filed, and Section 62, titled Conduct of Lobbyists Outside the Town of Davie, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you. As I said, this was, second hearing will be on November 1st. If there's any member from the public who would like to speak on this, you can come forward at this time. All right, seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Are there any questions or discussion by council? Okay, could I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve,
Is there, that's
21? Code
21
amendment.
code amendment. Is there a second? I'll
Second.
second it. I'd be fast. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Lewis.
Yes.
Councilmember Starkey.
Yes.
Mayor Paul.
Yes.
Councilmember Whitman.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay. Number 22 is a variance. Has the, has it been
Quasi's been
waived?
waived. Yes,
Okay.
Mayor.
All right. How do we want to start this? Mr. Weinthal, you can start off by reading the title.
Yes, Mayor. Variance, a resolution, the Town of Davie, Florida, taking final action on various application V23-030 Lano, providing for conflict, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against this? Just 2? 3, 4? Okay, that's what I thought.
Do we want a
I want to know.
presentation?
Yeah,
please?
I just wanted to know how many people were going to be speaking.
Yeah.
Would you give us a brief outline, Mr. Quigley?
Sure. David Quigley, Planning and Zoning Manager. The proposed variance would allow for development of a single-family detached dwelling on a parcel zoned R3 with a frontage of just 75 feet. Town code normally requires a minimum lot frontage of 100 feet in R3 zoning. The subject property lies within a plat of Lauderdale Little Ranches First Edition, which was recorded in 1946, while the area was part of unincorporated Broward County. The Lauderdale Little Ranches First Edition lies north of what is now 42nd Street. The Lauderdale Little Ranches Edition plat identifies a series of lots, they're called ranches, that are typically 75 feet in width by 305 feet in length. In 1969, an approximately 300-acre area that included Lauderdale Little Ranches First Edition was annexed into the town of Davie. With the exception of lots fronting Orange Drive, all parcels along Southwest 53rd Avenue are currently zoned R3. The actual parcel sizes of properties along 53rd are mixed, and there's a map in the backup showing the various widths of the properties that are actually built on and vacant. The applicant did not provide letters of no objection, as we usually suggest in the application process. There's no homeowners association in this situation. As of the date of this report, staff has not received any public correspondence objecting to the proposed variance, but there were a number of public speakers at the Planning and Zoning Board, and the Planning and Zoning Board recommendation was to deny.
Thank
Glad
you.
to answer any questions that you might have.
Let's hear from the applicant first, or applicant's representative.
Good evening, Mayor.
Hi.
Scott Kleiman on behalf of the applicant. Before I start my presentation, I also wear the hat of being the board chair of the David Posnack Jewish Community Center. And on behalf of the Posnack Jewish Community Center, I would like to thank you for the resolution supporting Israel and all of your support as far as security for our center, Federation, and the David Posnack Day School. Much appreciated. Good evening. Scott Kleiman, Kalis Kleiman and Wolf on behalf of the petitioner Pasquale Leno. Mr. Leno purchased this property in May of 2022 to build his retirement home on it. Mr. Leno presently lives in New York and would love to retire to our warmer climate, as well as to be closer to one of his two sons who happens to live in Plantation. His other son lives in New York. He purchased the property from Dolores Curry and her trust in 2022. Mr. Quigley gave a nice recitation of the history of Little Ranches. When it was platted back in 1946, the vast majority of all of these lots were platted with only 75 feet of frontage. The property was annexed into the city, or into the town, in 1969, and then overlaid on that was the R3 zoning, which requires 100 feet of frontage to develop a single-family home. Clearly, a conflict between the plat and the zoning that was applied. Absent a variance, it makes it impossible to build. Mr. Leno acquired this property from Ms. Curry, who owned not only this piece, and if you look at the top board, you'll see, and if I might step around just to quickly point it out.
Take the mic with you.
Mr. Leno's piece is this piece that's cross-hatched with the two yellow dots on it. Ms. Curry actually owned this lot and the lot to the south of it. There's a home on the middle of the parcel, but that parcel was never subject to a unity of title, so Ms. Curry was free to, free to sell the property or any of the parcels at any point in time, which is what she did. But even if she had decided to sell Mr. Leno the south piece of it, there was not 100 feet of frontage that she could have sold him, because 100 feet would have put it on the porch of that house that exists on that property. She sold one lot, or as Mr. Quigley pointed out, they're not actually referred to as lots, they're ranches. So Ranch 8 was sold to Mr. Leno, 75 feet in width and frontage as platted. The staff report notes that the need for variance in this case might be trumped by the fact that it was, the hardship was self-created by a person having an interest in the property. I can't disagree with that statement, but the self-created hardship was not created by Mr. Leno. It was created by the prior owner when she decided to sell the platted Ranch 8. Mr. Leno actually had no notice or knowledge that there was a 100-foot frontage requirement when he bought the lot, and just figured it was a single-family home just like all the other lots in the community. Now, as a practical matter, there was just no way that she could have sold 100 feet. The house to the north was owned by somebody else. She just owned what she owned. Now, the requested variance, though, is consistent with what you see in the community. If I, again, let me step around. Staff provided you with a drawing of what's on 53rd. I've expanded that just a little bit to include 54th as well. So as you'll see, there are 4 yellow dots, one on 54th, 3 more on 53rd, that are the only 75-foot of frontage vacant lots remaining. All of these orange dots that you see on 53rd and 54th, those are lots on which homes have been developed where the frontage is 75 feet or less. The vast majority of those were developed after the property was annexed in to the town. The staff report also notes that because of the sale of Lot 8, it created a potential nonconformity of a side setback with the house that's on Ranch 7, which might be less than 15 feet, approximated at 10. But the other thing you'll notice throughout this community is that side setback violation is common. You have many, many homes that are less than 15, and in some cases 4 and 5 feet, even on this block. For example, as we go down, starting at the north end, you have homes that are right up on the property line without any meeting the required setbacks that are in the B3 today. Or excuse me, R3 today, excuse me. So while there's a nonconformity, it's on the lot that's next door. But if this variance were to be granted to depart from the 100-foot R3 required frontage, we've already provided a drawing to the town showing the approximate location of the residence to be built. And I can absolutely assure you that that residence will meet the 15-foot side setback on both the north and south sides. As the staff report also indicates, DRC had no objection to this variance request. And then we went to P&Z, and that was a very different story. As the backup reflects, it was a unanimous vote to deny the variance. But that denial was not based on the merits of the variance request. Rather, it was denied because of the neighbors' concerns and objections about the existing group home that is on Ranch 7, right to the south of this piece. And there's no denying there have been issues with that group home. But those issues with that group home are not related to or relevant to this request. This should be measured strictly on the merits of the variance being requested. Some of the concerns of those residents were that maybe this lot's going to become part of that group home. And while code really would not permit it, my client has agreed, and we provided to Mr. Quigley previously, and I hold before you tonight, a signed deed restriction, which absolutely prohibits this property being used for any special residential facility or group home in perpetuity. And the entity that gets to enforce that is the town. So there can never be a group home, can never be any expansion of what's there. Now, the neighbors are concerned, no question about it, and I'm certain that the people that are here tonight are neighbors of this property. So the deed restriction is one thing that we've done to try to address and allay those concerns. The other is that we have a representative of Avidity, which runs the group home. They're the tenant on the property. Kristen is sitting in the back over here. And if the town council would like, she will come up and address the concerns that you may have, or these residents may have, or that can be addressed outside of chambers. But while we're here to offer up that option, to have her speak or have the residents speak with her, it's not related to the merits of this variance. The property to the south, for transparency purposes, is owned by a company in which my client's son, who resides in New York, has an interest. It is leased to Avidity. It's not exactly a landlord-friendly lease, but it only has 4 years left on it. But in the year and a half that my client's son's company has owned the property, they have made great strides in trying to improve the conditions in the neighborhood. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Are they pushing the tenant to continue to clean up its act? Absolutely. So while that's certainly you're going to hear from these residents and they're going to tell you their concerns, and quite honestly, I'm not here to object to their concerns. I understand their concerns. But what I'm asking the council to do is look at the merits of the variance. Because without an approval of this variance, this property cannot be developed. It cannot be used for a purpose that in 1946 was clearly what it was intended to be used for, is to be developed on 75 feet of frontage. And under R3, it's a single-family home. That's all that's going to be there. Mr. Lano would simply like to build a home, be closer to his son in Plantation, and retire to Davie. The intended variance and what we're doing is absolutely consistent with and in harmony with the surrounding community. As you see, there are almost 90 orange dots that represent homes that are developed on similarly sized properties in terms of the frontage. There are, at best, 4 more opportunities for people to come and ask for variances on their 75 feet of frontage lots. But there's nothing that is being requested before this council tonight that is contrary to what's in the neighborhood or what's consistent with it. All we're asking tonight is that the variance be granted, conditioned upon the recording of this deed, which if Mr. Quigley would like, I'd be more than happy to present it to him if the approval is given and the town can record it as opposed to my office recording it. Whatever your pleasure might be. But we're just asking that you approve the 25-foot variance from the 100 feet of required frontage in R3 to 75 feet. And I'm here for any questions or to address any questions from the community members.
We'll let you come back if there are any questions after we've had the public hearing.
Certainly.
Anyone from the public that wishes to speak, want to just line up in the center there, and so you can come up quickly. State your name. Have you all filled out a form? The speaker's form?
Yes, I
Okay. State your name and address.
Don Shaver, 4051 Southwest 53rd Avenue, 2 lots to the north of this property. Originally, this property was through the property appraiser's office as one parcel. When it was purchased by these two entities, the majority of the funding was for the large parcel where the group home is. And the parcel that we're talking about that was purchased for $25,000 based on the public records, which anybody in that neighborhood, they would snatch that up in a heartbeat. But there's been precedent set on the parcel that I have that we had to give the people to the, well, we didn't have to, but we did give it to the lot to the south of us so they could build their house. If they didn't do that, then that house could not have been built, but we did to allow them to build it. Second, there is a vacant lot to the south of the group home that could have been purchased at the same time, which they could have developed and got their 100 feet instead of going to the north side. They could have gone to the south side. So nobody's happy with what's going on at the house. As we were been a couple of different council meetings in the past, when the police department was here several times. And they have done some improvements, but you still got a dumpster in the middle of the front yard. You still have bulk trash there basically 24/7 all week long until I pick it up, once a month. So there's still a lot of issues that are everybody's concern. But there is an option to go to the south versus going to the north. And, this was, it is owned by a corporation, but it is, all in the family at that, and we would request your denial of this variance.
Come on, next, let's.
Good evening. Thank you for your service to the community. My name's John Brisebois. I live at 4310 Southwest 53rd Avenue. I've been a Davie resident for 62 years. I've been living at that address for 30 years. I'm here to go against the variance due to the fact that the people that are there running it have ties together, and we believe that we hear and believe that they're going to expand that group home, which has caused our neighborhood nothing but trouble. And that's what we believe, and we have nothing that's not going to, in writing, to guarantee that they can't add on to it or make it more by having more of a population in that area. That's what our main concern is as residents, because we've had a lot of trouble with that home. The police are there every other day and stuff like that, and we believe that it might expand it and have more of a population there, which could lead to more trouble. That's why I'm here, and that's why I want to stop it by going against the variance here now. That's my vote, and I had many other people at the original planning meeting that were here, and you kind of wore us out by getting all these postponements for the last, this is like the 4th or 5th time I've been down here now, and so some of them kind of got tired of coming, but their hearts were that against it still, and people have jobs and lives, and they can't keep coming down here as it gets postponed. So that's one of the reasons that I made myself clear to be down here every time, so, and supporting them as well. And we do thank you for your service, and I'm definitely against the variance for the property. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on, let's go.
Alrighty, howdy guys. My name is Mike Geel.
Speak into the mic, please.
My name is Mike Geel. I live at 4280 Southwest 53rd Avenue. I've been there 35 years. I've lived in Davie for 43 years. Basically, as everyone that's been up here has said, we feel there would be some sort of tie with the LLC that is owning this property at the present time and running this boys club or whatever it is. And I agree with everyone else who's been up here. I'm tired of the police coming by all the time. We're afraid that they're going to expand it. And I would just like to say no. I think it would be in all the neighbors' best interest. That's really about it. Just disagree with what they want to try to do here.
Thank you.
Oh, also, I'd like to hear from the person that is here. There's someone here from the home who wants to say good things about it. We'd like to hear from them.
I don't know if it'll fit right into this discussion, but we'll see where it takes us.
I understand with the variance is what you're looking for. And our concerns are that if we do this and another property or another home is built, that it too is going to turn into the same thing. So that's our concern with the variance.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Hubert Chabosky. I'm the resident adjacent to the lot in question, out just south of it at 4101 Southwest 53rd Avenue. So as far as the variance goes, if the gentleman was purchasing the property for a retirement home, the original property at 4111 is suitable for that. There is no reason for this variance to go through. I object it because it does not resonate with all the residents that we have speaking here today. As far as what goes on at the property, I think you've heard plenty that it's not something we support. I wish we had this discussion a while ago when it was discussed whether this group home should be allowed or not on this property, because as far as I understand, R3 is a single-family home kind of zoning. So I would appreciate if the council would deny this variance. Thank you.
My name is Kimberly Brammer.
Speak into the mic, please.
My name is Kimberly Brammer. I live at 3911 Southwest 53rd Avenue. I also own 3921 Southwest 53rd Avenue and 4210 Southwest 53rd Avenue, which is directly across the street from this home. I am so against this because, as you said earlier with this other man's case here, you all don't have the time or the power to go out and check code. And I feel that they will bring more of this home into it. It has been nothing but a disaster since you brought it to our neighborhood. And I don't know how that was even brought into a neighborhood with these children's records. Right across the street, I have a grandchild. She can't even play in the front yard. My other neighbors, I've been there for almost 40 years. Okay? These aren't my neighbors, these are my family. Our children have grown up together, our grandchildren play together, and we have great grandbabies. It's a shame that we can't walk down our own street. And that's what you all have put us with this group home that you have there. And this house that they're gonna build on this lot is gonna be another group home. I don't care what he says, it's gonna be another group home. And I don't know how much, I don't know if the town of Davie makes money for this home being there or not, I don't know, but it's got to, I don't know, the last time we called, they had helicopters out looking for these boys. I don't know how much it costs to fly a helicopter, but, you know, it's a lot of money, and the police department is tired of being out there, and we're tired of being blocked even to get to our homes at night, because sometimes they're there multiple times in one day. So I am severely against this and hope that you not put another home on this property.
I just would like to clarify something. The town did not put that home there. By state law, they were allowed to be there, and our attorney can speak to that. We have been working with our lobbyists and with our elected officials in Tallahassee to get the laws changed, to give us more oversight over these homes, and we have many of them in the town.
Don't you have to give them a license to be there?
No.
Really? Because there's a license hanging in the living room there with your signature on it.
My signature?
Because I have been in that home, because we have chased boys and gone in that home, and it's supposed to be a 24-hour guidance or awake counselor. We have woke them up several times at night because the boys are in our homes, in our cars, in our garages, looking in the windows, and it's
What
all
is
on
that
cameras.
license that they have?
It's a state license. It'd be a state license. They're licensed by the state, not by the
And they can
town.
go into a single-family home
Yes, ma'am.
in a neighborhood.
State law.
With the records of these children, where there are children in the neighborhood.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
And this is an opportunity for you, you know, for years, we have been asking for the residents that live around these homes to help us lobby in Tallahassee to get the laws changed. And until something like this happens, it's very hard, you know, to get people to understand the repercussions. And we understand, and we sympathize with you, but I just wanted you to know that this is, we have to follow state law. And
So
we
I
are
have to
trying.
have a license to have an office in my home there, which I have through you and through Broward County. But you can put a home like this, and these boys don't steal
right.
pencils.
I understand your frustration. I just wanted to set this straight, that the town did not put that there, and that is a state license that they have, and that according to state law, they can be there.
Go anywhere. They can go move into any home, anywhere.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Okay, I'll let you just have
Thank you, Mayor.
3 minutes, that's it.
Okay. Well, first, if there's something hanging in that house with your signature, it's probably an LBTR, nothing more than that. So I want to
don't sign
address,
those.
I feel for these residents. These kids are put there by the court, and I will tell you, the mayor's absolutely right. There is nothing that any municipality can do to stop what's happening. I'm sorry, but this town council in September did pass an ordinance targeting and trying to refine the special residential districts, and I applaud you for doing that, or special residential facilities. I believe that the first speaker, Mr. Shaver, said, well, we should have bought the property to the south and bought additional part of Ranch 5. Well, we can't compel anybody to sell a piece of their property. They may not have wanted to. And if there are issues like dumpsters and things like that, as you all heard and addressed in the last site plan discussion, call code. Call code on this group home. But they can come out there and they can cite them. Okay, so, the representative from the group home that's here, Kristen, she's not here to say glowing things and paint rosy pictures. She's here to address the residents' concerns. And I know it's really not the proper place here to do that. She's happy to meet with those folks outside of
think
this.
that would be a good idea.
And I think that's a step in the right direction. And we had a couple of speakers who are convinced that this is going to be another group home on Ranch 8. It won't be. And this legal document prevents that from happening. We've offered up this concession to prohibit special residential facilities and group homes in perpetuity. All that can go there is a single-family residence to be occupied by Mr. Lano for his retirement. And in fact, Mr. Leno living there next door to a piece of property that his New York son has an interest in the company that owns, if something happens, Dad's going to be on the case and tell his son, get the tenant in line. It's probably going to be an improvement not only for property values by building another new home out there, but also to be a watchdog on this property. But
There's no
but this,
discussion.
again, but the bottom line here, Mayor, members of the council, is this is, unfortunately, it's not about the group home. This is about Ranch 8, 75 feet of platted frontage that has an overlay of R3 that has 100 feet of required frontage to develop a single-family home. On the merits of this particular piece of property, this variance must be granted. But we are happy to do whatever we can to work with the neighbors, and I'll speak with my client's son, to continue to push the tenant.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to close the public hearing at this point, and we have any questions? This is your district, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead. You're on.
Okay. I have a couple questions. Well, let me say something first. One of the considerations whether or not to approve a variance is if the alleged hardship for the variance is self-imposed. The applicant purchased this property knowing the property only has 75 feet of frontage. The applicant was part of the land deal that created the current parcel of land and the parcel of land to the south. This is the definition of a self-imposed hardship. I don't think I can support this variance. The need for the variance is self-imposed. It is not in harmony with the intent of the code and of the neighborhood. I'd like to make a motion to deny item number 22, variance V23-030.
Before we get a second, we'll continue discussion. Unless somebody wants to second it, we can still discuss it.
I'll second it, Mayor.
Okay. Thank you.
And my comments, I'll defer to,
Okay, go ahead.
I'll make a second on that.
Okay. Did you want to speak too?
Well, I'm going to defer to Councilmember Whitman.
Council member, okay. Did you want to say anything?
I just wanted to know how legally binding that, from our town attorney, that the deed restriction would be. And isn't it only at the subject of whoever is here later?
Well, we have a motion and a second, so that means we have to do a roll call.
No, I know, but we're still in discussion
we
right
can
now, and I have a question.
discussion Before you vote.
She allowed for it.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. So your question is if the restricted covenant, how legally binding it is?
Yeah, if they put it on the deed and file it as a deed restriction, that it, in perpetuity, what happens if somebody comes in later and wants to change that it can't be used for any community facility? Can that be changed by another council, say in another 10 years, 5 years?
Correct, because the Davie,
See?
the town of Davie, town council, that's who the restricted covenant would have the
Bind.
authority to.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
That,
You understood me.
that was my concern. I mean, perpetuity is only as good as we are to enforce it. Okay. The other question was that, I mean, I could clearly see that a lot of the properties only have the 75 feet. And I understood that too, but as the code changes, so does the rules and going forward. And so that was part of my concern, knowing that they again purchased the property after the fact, and knowing that the code, the new code, is there. That was one of my other concerns too. There is no consideration of a vested right for this, is there?
No vested right application has been submitted.
And it wouldn't meet the standard because they purchased knowing
If
the
they submitted
code had been changed.
If they submitted a vested right application, I would do all the research and look at it. I can't make that without them submitting. I can't give a legal decision without them submitting an request.
I understand.
Thank you. Yeah, a couple of comments were made about knowing the law and knowing what you have to do in order to comply with the law. You know, it was interesting because so many people don't do their homework before they buy a piece of property. I know when I was looking for my home in Davie, I did so much research in terms of elevation, in terms of drainage, in terms of rights of way, and I purchased my home based on an extensive amount of research, looking at the law, looking at what I could do, what I couldn't do, and so forth and so on. And this is so important that, you know, people, oh, yeah, I'm going to buy a piece of property, I'm going to put what I want on it. That doesn't work. You have to do your homework and know what the parameters are that you're working within. And, you know, I have to agree with Councilmember Whitman in relationship to a self-imposed hardship. And I have a history. I don't think I voted for a variance in quite some time. I don't feel that if there is, the hardship is not there, that there should be no variance granted. So with that, since we have a motion and a second, let me remind you, with a vote on denial, if you vote yes, you're denying it. So sometimes we get confused on that, so I'm just reminding you.
One more thing, Mayor.
Huh?
I think it's appropriate for me to disclose that, you know, I did review a lot of the P&Z information, and I also spoke to the applicant's attorney.
Okay, thank you.
And staff on this issue.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Starkey?
Yes.
Councilmember Whitman?
Yes.
Mayor Paul?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Lewis?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Has been denied. And what I would do, I would suggest that the person that's representing the group home, if you would like to do this, we would appreciate it. If you would meet with the residents out in the lobby and answer their questions and give them some assistance, if you would do that, yes?
Mayor, maybe we could give them a room so we could continue, so it's not too
Okay.
noisy.
All right, we're going to give you a room so that you can go in and sit down and have a discussion.
And maybe the chief could also,
I was going to ask for one of the staff members maybe to go and maybe take some notes that we might be interested in hearing at a later date. What?
Do you guys realize how much money the town of Davie is just throwing away with the continual police presence down here?
Honey, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. No, we are in a position where we have nothing but our police to go out there and deal with this. I know it's costing a lot of money, and it's your money, and it's very frustrating. And again, that's why we are working with our lobbyists in Tallahassee to get the laws changed so we have greater oversight on this. And I'll tell you what, every one of you, if somebody would take all of their names and addresses and emails, then when we're sending a lobbyist up there again this year, and Councilmember Starkey goes to Tallahassee and works with them every year, let her get some support and send some emails and help her to help you in Tallahassee. How's that? Thank you.
Mayor, if they speak, they have to come to the microphone. please.
What? You can't speak just from the back. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, that takes care of, does anybody have any appointments? No old business, no new business? Our next meeting, and November 1st, we've got, remember, we've got a workshop at, I thought it was 4, you have to be determined on the time, I thought it was 4.
Mayor, on
Or
scheduling of meeting 24, right above it, we're proposing 4 o'clock for your approval, for
Oh,
this
okay.
council's approval.
Is that okay with everybody for that workshop on the zoning in progress for 4 o'clock? Because then we have, at 6 o'clock, we have the CRA and then the council meeting. You don't have the CRA on here? Oh, because it would be on the CRA
Mayor?
agenda.
Mayor, if I may also, on November 1st, staff is also requesting an executive session at 3 PM, if that's possible, since you're going to be here.
Wow. You going to give your days up? How you doing with that? So go to work at 5, and then, you know,
Which one are you referring to? Which one is this?
3 o'clock is an executive session that Mr. Lamack is asking for. Then 4 o'clock would be the workshop on the zoning in progress. Then there's a CRA meeting, and then the council meeting.
I have to be here, I'll be here.
Okay, appreciate that. We'll feed you, how's that?
You heard what she said. Joe Stone crabs.
No. It doesn't have to be Joe's. Bob Ross sells them too. Okay, so has everybody got a thumbs up on that, those times? Executive session at 3, workshop at 4, okay? Very good, thank you. Okay, comments? I'm going to start today. I just want to announce that I'm going to do a mayor's breakfast again this month on October 26th at 9:30 at Harvest Cafe. It's interesting because after I advertised it, that's the Reading Across America, and I was asked to speak, but I had already advertised that date, so I couldn't change it. So I said to the school, well, can't we extend it and I'll come the next morning? And they said, sure. So we're going to have a multi-day Reading Across America. I would like to mention that I was in attendance yesterday at Nova, was it Monday? Was it yesterday? Nova Southeastern for Debbie Wasserman Schultz Cancer Summit with the guest speaker as the First Lady, Jill Biden. It was a very uplifting time, and I was very moved by all the comments, and especially since Debbie Wasserman Schultz is a cancer survivor and has gone through so much, and they talked about DNA testing and how some cancers are genetic and can be handed down from generation to generation. And a lot of people spoke from the heart and really let a lot of information, personal information out for the public. Also was very interested in hearing, there was an individual there that represented the Black Caucus against cancer, and she was talking about the disparity in the Black community because of the lack of education and because of the fact that a lot of those individuals don't have insurance, that younger cases of cancer at a younger age, and also death from cancer at a younger age. And that's why they were talking originally, you were recommended to have a mammogram at 50, then they lowered it to 40. Now they're actually considering lowering it to 30. And of course, that's only a recommendation. Anybody can get a mammogram, whether they're 25 or 30 or 40. But it's important, and that's why we need to remember that fighting cancer is an important priority, and I'm looking forward to our Relay for Life, or our team horsing around to again do a record-breaking raising of dollars for the Cancer Society. I know right now my nephew is going through chemo, and you know, sometimes the cure is worse than the disease. He had such a terrible reaction to his chemo that he was in ICU with transfusions and blood count so low. And it, you know, I've had some very close friends, dear friends, who have passed. And it's just, cancer is something, I know there's a cure. I just know it. And I always say, there's an element that probably, and I think this is cruel, but sometimes I really think that there is a cure, but no, certain groups don't want there to be a cure, because then the hospitals and the doctors wouldn't be able to make money. And unfortunately, in this country, so much boils down to the money. And what we have to do is fight that image and raise the money and get that cure out. Sorry, overstated my, but I'm, as I said, I'm very passionate about some of these things. Also, right after the attack by Hamas, I attended a vigil at Temple Beth Emet. There were 900 people there, standing room only. It was unbelievable. Across everybody that was there, it was not just Jewish, it was Christian, Hindus, Islam. There were people there that were in solidarity against terror. And I just wanted to thank Temple Beth Emet for stepping forward and doing that. And again, it was a very moving. The Consul General from Israel was there, and I know at several occasions he had to stop and just hold back the tears, and everybody in the audience was in tears when individuals are speaking. So it's a very, very difficult time for us all. And as I said earlier, nothing good ever comes from violence. It just breeds more violence. And we've got to do something to stop it. This is why we've come out so many times against anti-Semitism. We've done resolutions, we've done proclamations. But until people accept that, so that it never would happen again. And I keep seeing that image of the Jewish star. On one side is the blue of the state of Israel, and on the other is the yellow with the word Jude on it, which was what the people wore during the Holocaust that they were forced to wear to identify them. And the saying is, never again is now. We've got to make sure that we let everybody know that we're not going to allow this to happen again. Okay. I just want to let you know, I'm on the board of the Old Davie School. They got a cow. They got one of those plastic heifers that they got on the campus, and they're going to have it painted. So they're working with us on public art and fitting right in with that. The other thing is that they've been talking about a name change, and they want to rebrand themselves because they feel that people just think that they're a museum and they're an event center, and they keep talking about wanting to change the name. To me, it's always going to be the Old Davie School, and every time they come up with an idea, I say, no, I can't go along with it because it's the Old Davie School. That's what it is. Well, now the latest one that they've come up with, and it's gotten some traction, is the schoolhouse. Whoopie-doo. the Schoolhouse Museum and Event Center. So, you give it some thought. If you can come up with an idea, I don't know why we have to be concerned about rebranding something that's doing so well. If people go to their website, they'll find out exactly what they do. And again, just a thank you to Phil and Rick for putting it in motion, and Chief, my police escort to Nova. It was very much appreciated, and I felt very, very safe, and I was very, very pleased that you felt that I deserved that kind of treatment. A lot of times people say to me, why don't you have a driver? Why don't you have, an escort? Because they see individuals like the sheriff come in with a whole entourage. And I said, because this is Davie. These are all my friends. These are all my neighbors. I said, I feel very safe. But in this particular situation, we all thought that there was going to be protests and there might have been marches. There wasn't anything. There was so much police presence there, nobody would have been able to get into protest if they wanted to. But it was a marvelous event, and would have liked to have seen it a little more crowded. Not all the seats were taken. But I did have the opportunity to go into the green room and to meet the First Lady and have my picture taken with her, which is going to be in my office, of course. So thank you again, Chief. I appreciate that. I have an email. I think everybody got it. Yes, I see Susan, David. Yeah, again, about the where am I? The Sierra Ranches Preserve. I know we've had people go in and tell us that it's meets standards, but this gentleman, and it was interesting because I did get to meet him. He has a video presentation documenting the history, problems, solutions. He's hired an independent engineer. He's doing a lot of work. He's also retained an attorney to formally block the bond release until some of these, what he feels are corrections that need to be made. I'd like to look at this again a little further and ask the town, does the town get to approve that too, that bond release?
Are we talking about, what we talk, the bond?
Sierra Ranches Preserve.
I'll have to look at who the bonds were into.
Well, the Central Broward Water Control District, but they said Davie is also a beneficiary of the performance bond, so I don't know what he quite meant by that. So, but I'd like to discuss that further and have a further talk about that. Okay? I'm sorry it took so long, but I get passionate. Councilmember Whitman.
Thank you, Mayor. I have only a few items today. We had our Veterans Breakfast on the 17th, and we had 90-plus veterans to attend. And it was a grand honor for the mayor and I to have Harold, which was 100 years old. It was his birthday. So we were very, very fortunate that he was there. As Veteran Day approaches, a quick reminder to our veterans that our team, led by Chad, is handing out the meal vouchers. For the veterans who are participating, you will have until November 3rd to stop by the Multipurpose Center to collect your voucher. Don't forget to visit our website to see the information, as there are specific documents you need to bring to be able to participate. Once you've collected your voucher, you can visit the participating restaurants. This is one of the many ways we continue to recognize and thank our veterans for the sacrifices they have made for our country. Next week, Saturday, October 28th, our Davie PD is hosting their monthly child safety car seat installation at CarMax. They will also check an existing car seat to ensure it is properly installed. The event will take place from 9 a.m. to noon at CarMax. You are required to make an appointment to participate. Please call 693-8358. Halloween Happenings is also next Saturday at the rodeo grounds. It is always a fun and exciting event, especially the creativity that goes into making costumes one of a kind. The event will kick off at 10 a.m. and the costume contest will start at 11:30 a.m. There will be several family activities, including live performances, train rides, a DJ, and plenty of delicious foods to select from. I hope to see you all there. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Is that going to have the horse costume again? Okay, good. Just let me know what time that's going to be so I can make sure I'm there. Thanks. Vice Mayor?
Thank you, Mayor. I think everything's just about been covered, but the first thing I want to say is this weather has been glorious. I love walking out in the morning to feed, and my donkey is running around the house just enjoying himself, and this weather has been, just makes me happy when I go out in the morning, and I love it. And I wanted to comment on, the mayor was talking about going to Temple Beth Emet. I was there as well, had a front row seat. Somebody named Judy Paul got us seats right up front. But the thing that I found so interesting that night was not how many Jews were there, but how many ministers from various churches from all over and different Christians that were there to support Israel. I was taken back by that. It was rather quite moving, and it was a very, very interesting night. I'm very glad that I went to it, and we both, I think, got a lot out of that. That was very interesting. But the unity of the whole community there was inspiring, and again, it was a great opportunity. But again, I think pretty much everything's been covered. So be safe and enjoy this weather, because I don't think it's probably going to last.
No, not quite, not everything. We had a wonderful event out at Robbins Lodge, and I know many of us attended it, where we had the gardening, and it was an annual event. But I would like to see us do it even better, even more. I think it would be nice to have it even maybe twice a year instead of just annually, because it seemed to have so much of a good turnout. And what did we have? I don't know, maybe 10 or 15 different vendors there that were showing different things on how to garden. And we made some good partnerships there, so thank you for that. I enjoyed it. They were also the giveaways for the trees. I see a young lady in the audience who got her tree, and I know she's happy because I saw her leaving with it. And I think it's a good event, and the community really enjoys it. So I want to thank you all for putting that on with Parks and Rec. Thank you, Jeff and Chad and your staff. You did a good job as always. We also have the Nights of Fright Haunted House coming up, and it'll be this weekend, and both Friday and Saturday this weekend and next weekend. And I'm not one who likes to be scared, but they walked me through it in the light before it got started, and oh yeah, there's a lot of new things, and it's going to be very scary. I mean, if it scared the heck out of me in the light, I can only imagine what it's going to be like for everybody going through it with the dark. It would be pretty scary. So please enjoy it. They'll also have snacks, and I know that there'll be performances from the South Florida Cloggers, and 3 of my granddaughters will be in that, but not spooky, but cute little dances. So we'll have that. And there'll be food and beverage being sold by them. Also, there is a movie night, Transylvania, which is this Friday night at 7 o'clock here at Bamford as well. So if you go to the haunted house and then go over to watch the movie, and there's food trucks usually there, I think so. So it should be a lot of fun for that too. Construction career days are the 24th. At Bergeron Rodeo Arena as well. That's always fun for the schools to participate in that. And the fire department on the 23rd is doing their fire rescue annual poster contest once again. And I think that's a lot of fun. Police department and fire department on the 29th will be doing their trunk and treat over at the South Nob Hill Road Fire Station. I think it's both at the fire station is it in the bay where they usually do it? The whole area. Okay, very good. So that is always a lot of fun to attend as well. So check our website. There'll be a lot of fun activities going on now through the end of the year. And I don't want to hear from my residents who always say, well, they didn't know, because we put notices out everywhere. And, you know, I think they should just realize that there's enough on social media now for them to know what's out there. I'll be reading also for Read for the Record at Silver Ridge on the 26th. And it's a very cute story as well. So hopefully there'll be more of us out there reading. Good. I'm glad to see that. So thank you all very much and have a good weekend. Enjoy the weather.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll be, Mr. Lemack,
Mayor, I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Mr. Weinthal,
Mayor, I have nothing.
if there's no objection, we're adjourned.